Well, welcome back once again. It is that time again. Time for Improv Bible Study here on the Junk Shop Library channel. We're so close to the end of the book of Numbers. And so far from done. Like and subscribe, y'all. 35th chapter of the book of Numbers today. And the Lord spake unto Moses in the plains of Moab, by Jordan near Jericho, saying, Command the children of Israel, that they give unto the Levites of the inheritance of their possession cities to dwell in. And ye shall give also unto the Levites suburbs for the cities round about them. And the cities shall they have to dwell in, and the suburbs of them shall be for their cattle, and for their goods, and for all their beasts. And the suburbs of the cities which ye shall give to the Levites shall reach from the wall of the city and outward 1,000 cubits round about. And ye shall measure from without the city on the east side 2,000 cubits, and on the south side 2,000 cubits, and on the west side 2,000 cubits, and on the north side 2,000 cubits. And the city shall be in the midst. This shall be to them the suburbs of the cities. And among the cities which ye shall give unto the Levites, there shall be 6 cities for refuge, which ye shall appoint for the manslayer, that he may flee thither. And to them ye shall add 42 cities. So all the cities which ye give to the Levites shall be 48 cities. Them shall ye give with their suburbs. And the cities which ye shall give shall be of the possession of the children of Israel. From them that have many shall ye give many, but from them that have few ye shall give few. Every one shall give of his cities unto the Levites, according to his inheritance which he inheriteth. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye be come over Jordan into the land of Canaan, then ye shall appoint you cities to be cities of refuge for you, that the slayer may enter thither, which killeth any person unawares. And they shall be unto you cities for refuge from the avenger, that the manslayer die not, until he stand before the congregation in judgment. And of these cities which ye shall give, 6 cities shall ye have for refuge. Ye shall give 3 cities on this side Jordan, and 3 cities shall ye give in the land of Canaan, which shall be cities of refuge. These 6 cities shall be a refuge, both for the children of Israel and for the stranger, and for the sojourner among them, that every one that killeth any person unawares may flee thither. And if ye smite him with an instrument of iron, so that he die, he is a murderer. The murderer shall surely be put to death. And if he smite him with throwing a stone, wherewith he may die, and he die, he is a murderer. The murderer shall surely be put to death. Or if he smite him with an hand weapon of wood, wherewith he may die, and he die, he is a murderer. The murderer shall surely be put to death. The revenger of blood himself shall slay the murderer. When he meeteth him, he shall slay him. But if he thrust him of hatred, or hurl at him by laying of weight, that he die, or in enmity smite him with his hand, that he die, he that smote him shall surely be put to death, for he is a murderer. The revenger of blood shall slay the murderer when he meeteth him. But if he thrust him suddenly without enmity, or have cast upon him anything without lying of weight, or with any stone wherewith a man may die, seeing him not, and cast it upon him, that he die, and was not his enemy, neither sought his harm, then the congregation shall judge between the slayer and the revenger of blood according to these judgments. And the congregation shall deliver the slayer out of the hand of the revenger of blood, and the congregation shall restore him to the city of his refuge, whither he was fled, and he shall abide in it unto the death of the high priest, which was anointed with the holy oil. But if the slayer shall at any time come without the border of the city of his refuge, whither he was fled, and the revenger of blood find him without the borders of the city of his refuge, and the revenger of blood kill the slayer, he shall not be guilty of blood, because he should have remained in the city of his refuge unto the death of the high priest. But after the death of the high priest, the slayer shall return into the land of his possession. So these things shall be for a statute of judgment unto you throughout your generations in all your dwellings. Whoso killeth any person, the murderer shall be put to death by the mouth of witnesses. But one witness shall not testify against any person to cause him to die. Moreover, ye shall take no satisfaction for the life of a murderer which is guilty of death, but he shall surely be put to death. And ye shall take no satisfaction for him that is fled to the city of his refuge, that he should come again to dwell in the land until the death of the priest. So ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. Defile not, therefore, the land which ye shall inhabit, wherein I dwell, for the Lord dwell among the children of Israel. That's Numbers 35. Wherein we learned the Lord does not trust the children of Israel to do basic geometry, and so gives them exactly the measurements as well as the proportion of the grazing ground around the cities that are to be given unto the priestly class, whose book this conveniently is. And then we make a hard right turn into manslaughter doctrine. I'll be honest, I don't really have a problem with the cities of refuge idea. That there's 6 cities, one on either side of the river, scattered throughout the country. And if you accidentally, drop a brick off a scaffold where you're working, brain Bob, you can say, oh shit, and there's a place where you can go stay, where you're not allowed to have vengeance taken upon you for accidentally braining Bob. That in conjunction with the more than one witness is required in order to enact the death penalty. In a roving, barely agrarian, barbaric tribes situation, it's about the best I could reasonably expect, and probably a little better in terms of jurisprudence. If you'd have told me ahead of time that the priestly inheritance cum manslaughter chapter would be the one out of the entire book that I had the least difficulty with and approved the most of, I probably would have laughed at you. And okay, there's 2 ways to approach the priestly inheritance thing. And one is the honest, modern, and realistic one, which is, this is a book, at least purportedly, written by Moses for his brother Aaron and his nephews and their sons, telling them that the only work they had to do was stay in the temple, kill the animals other people brought them, and eat the meat of about a quarter of those. That and take real care of the, pimp my tent structure. And so from a realistic or cynical, depending on your perspective, point of view, it's a pretty cheap-ass way to get a nice-ass ride. Especially when you're finally given the okay by Big Daddy Moses to come out of the desert and take over all these big walled cities, then all of a sudden Big Daddy Moses' next of kin get a 12th of them, despite not being allowed to fight in the war of conquering them or anything. Nice work if you can get it. Of course, then there's the whole, having to burn offal and dung all day as part of your job, so... The other one is, the other way... Wow, that was a long bullet point. I said there were two ways to approach the priestly inheritance thing. The other way... is if you really believe, like the vast majority of these illiterate peasants did, that there's invisible angry people watching you all the time, and that only the priestly class who were able to stave off the wrath of the invisible angry people could protect you, then paying them tribute, it's just like paying your, paying your insurance premiums, or, your protection racket. Nice tribe you got here. Be a shame if anything happened to it. But that's just what you do. Now, we, of course, as modern people, and by modern, I mean having developed, things like, I don't know, steel mirrors, having achieved that level of technology. Remember when they took away all the women's bronze mirrors to melt down to make pieces of God's fancy-ass tent? Being post-enlightenment folks, we know that there's no invisible man on the magic mountain with such a magnificent ass that the one person who was ever allowed to gaze upon it shone in return when he came back down. As a result, I'm going to say what I've said before and what I will doubtless say again. We should not be just forking over shit willy-nilly and tax-exempt to people who assure us that the invisible man on the magic mountain on the other side of the planet will be nicer to us if we'll just give them more money. Joel Osteen looks like Patrick Bateman. And I'm fairly convinced has just as much soul. Patrick Bateman? Did I just mess that up? Is that the actor? American Psycho is what I'm thinking of. Oh, that's going to bother me, and I'm going to wish I reshot this. I better end this out before I decide to do that. Next chapter will be chapter 36, the final chapter of Book of Numbers. And then we will launch into the 5th book of Moses called Deuteronomy. I know you are waiting with breath that is bated. Y'all take care. Be safe. Poke the Pope to subscribe. Check out the rest of the Numbers playlist while you can. Bye now.